cycle so unpredictable here on the SNL network.
Yes, welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network here for another Monday Night Roundtable, this time to talk about the Jenna Ortega and the 1975 episode of Saturday Night Live. My name is John from the SNN. Very pumped to be with all of you on this Monday night and our incredible panel that we brought together to discuss the end of this run of shows before we head towards the final 6 episodes of Saturday Night Live. I was doing my notes today. I feel like there's just so much to talk about. I couldn't wait to get to this show to finally break down some of the things that we didn't get to talk about in our hot take show on a Saturday. So let's get right to that with our panel we have here tonight. And first up, it is the amazing Victoria Franso. Victoria, how are you?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be taking a break from American Idol audition watches and to discuss, Saturday Night Live. And Jenna Ortega is a wonderful actress. So excited that she was able to host.
Yeah, how is that going over on American Idol? Season 21, is it? You're still watching?
Yes. Yeah.
Have you ever missed a season?
I've missed 20 seasons.
Oh, okay. All right.
I missed just about 20 seasons. Cried a lot at the auditions. I needed a good cry, hence why I started watching the auditions. But it's so far so good. Great pool of talent there. So
good to know.
Be a great season 21.
All right, well, we'll check back in on American Idol down the road. But a guy who may not know much about American Idol, but knows everything there is to know about Saturday Night Live, it is Bill Kenney. Bill, how are you doing?
Hey, listen, I know Ruben stuttered, okay? Like that's the last time I watched that show. I'm doing great. Taking a break from building all my brackets for the tournament coming up. So it's kind of a nice relief to sit here and talk about Jenna Ortega. Really, really fun episode to end this run. So very excited to get into it.
Absolutely. It is bracket season. So if you haven't started making your March Madness brackets, think about what you're going to do. I'm still waiting to put my picks in as well, Bill. So that's very fun. And we're going to do a bracket of our own in just a couple of weeks on the Superfan Takeover. So stay tuned for that. But of course, joining us tonight as well, last but not least, never least, it is TJ Randolph. TJ, how you doing?
Well, John, even though I'm in the equivalent of the back of the bus of this podcast lineup, I am doing well. I feel good. I feel like I haven't podcasted on the SNL network. I mean, the Saturday Night Network in a minute. And it feels very good to be back.
I mean, it definitely is. I always never know how to respond, but
Jonathan, is there something funny that you're chortling about?
All right,
is there
let me open up the curtain.
I love TJ so much. I'm so sorry.
Let me open up the curtain before the show. People come in, they get their spots on the quadrants of the screen, and then we go over which sketches, we might want to talk about tonight, sort of do a little bit of prep. And TJ always chooses a sketch that happens later on in the night, which is why he ends up in that spot. So don't blame the white guy in the top left corner every time.
To be fair, John, you're white and Canadian, so you're two things. Give yourself more credit.
And
Second
Jewish,
of all, I've been doing this. Oh yeah, and Jewish. That's right. Okay, so 3 shades of white. I have been doing this podcast for 2 years, and this is the first time I've ever heard of that lineup rule. Granted, John, I just want you to lift black voices, and by that I mean put me over Victoria. No, I'm kidding.
I don't know. Then it's going to be like putting down women's voices.
I know. And I'm like, oh, wait, you want there to be equity? I work in diversity. I shouldn't say these kinds of things.
I'm also a daughter of immigrant parents from the Middle East. Don't.
Hey, there you go.
What's your melanin, Victoria? What is it?
It's Iraqi melanin.
Wait, Iraqi?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, shit. Okay. Snap. I forgot we were recording.
A hundo P.
100%. Mm-hmm. Oh wow! Okay, that's cool. All right, John. Look at John.
I know.
Gracious. Look at him being a little Lorne Michaels.
If you want to take it a step further, I'm an Assyrian. It's one word, not a Syrian. It's Assyrian, and we are indigenous.
Wait, is it like a pimp named Slipback? I'm sorry. I'm Bill.
All right, well.
I'm so this might be the earliest that John has ever lost control of a podcast. Put it in the books.
See,
I'm offended by it because I derail this show every time I come on here.
That's true.
And how dare you, Bill, Kenney?
All right, this is the problem when I let the get to know you section go on a little bit too long. So let's pivot, as Ross Geller would say, and go to talk about Jenna Ortega, where we're going to talk about the decision to book Jenna Ortega, who is, as we learned, 20 years old, our youngest host of the season, and lots of talk about will this be TikTok-y, Gen Z vibes. A lot of questions about this one. We have a lot of potential new viewership that may have checked out this episode. Jenna has, I think, over 40 million Instagram followers, the largest of any host this season. So there had to be definitely more eyeballs wanting to check out what Jenna was doing tonight. And so the decision to me is a no-brainer, especially with the background of the fact that Jenna is in one of the biggest movies so far of 2023 with Scream 6 coming out this past weekend, and a lot of hype for that movie if you're a fan of the horror franchise. And then also Wednesday, the show on Netflix that was a huge hit over the holidays, all about the Addams family and in terms specifically Wednesday Addams. So that as well. And of course, Jenna's been in a ton of stuff, starting with that commercial we saw in the monologue. So very happy to get to talk about Jenna Ortega tonight and the decision to book her. So Victoria, I will start with you. What were your thoughts when you found out Jenna Ortega was going to be hosting Saturday Night Live?
I didn't have much expectation just because I really didn't know who she was. I knew she starred in Wednesday Addams, but that was the extent of my knowledge on her. That being said, that's sometimes really great because you go in with no expectations and you get pleasantly surprised like I was with this episode. She's so mature for her age. Like her monologue was beautiful. Like she looked beautiful. She speaks articulately. And she was just very fun throughout the whole show. So, she's mature than I am, and I'm just about a decade older than her. So it was humbling to watch her.
Bill, I mean, the age discrepancy between you and Jenna is certainly there, but I would love to know how you felt about her being booked for the show.
It's been a minute since John got an old joke in on me. I was expecting
Bill
it this
21.
week.
Doing my man Bill dirty. Come on,
that's right, man. Listen, I am younger than Fred Armisen, so let's start there.
Wait,
I could definitely be the double.
Oh, now TJ, who's the one who's giving him?
Wow,
Bill,
wow, dude.
Bill, I want you to remember that I just chimed in and said you're 21. So.
Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that.
I did. That was definitely me. That was definitely an old crack for me. Like I'm
young at heart. Oh, TJ was the one on the last time we were together that he called me the father in a father-son thing with Haskell. So he's already gotten me with this. So
if you're somebody who watches the YouTube feed, go. I don't even know what episode we were covering, but it was you, Haskell, and me. And I was like, I feel like I'm watching a father-son podcasting duo. It was. I don't even know what coverage that was.
I don't remember, but yeah, listen, I can relate to the. I mean, you have to bring in these Gen Z hosts to reach out to these younger viewers who are not getting it the way we get the show, going on YouTube the next day, that kind of stuff. I'm glad it was a lot better than some of the other Gen Z stuff they've done in the last couple of years, Gen Z Hospital. And I think that they found a nice medium between not making it too much about her age, other than the Parent Trap, and finding a good way to. And I found her very likable. It felt like a Michael B. Jordan thing where they were kind of putting her in the background a little bit more than in the forefront, but it still worked, and she was very good in all the things that she was in. So.
I want to come back to something interesting you said, but first I want to ask TJ his initial thoughts on Jenna Ortega being booked to host the show. So TJ, how did you feel?
I thought this young woman was like going to start doing magic when she came out to do her monologue because she was dressed like a little magician. Like she kind of looked like if anybody reads or like watches DC stuff, she looked like Zatanna. It was like a magician, like superhero. So that's what I thought at first. But like, no, like I'm not really into the Wednesday Addams thing. That's really not my kind of like thing. But you know what I am into? I'm into you. You are, dear listeners. And the show, you. Because thankfully, that little girl got away safe. I mean, granted, Joe doesn't kill kids. We know that Joe is a creep and a murderer, but he doesn't kill kids, so that makes him redeemable. I love our country. But like, that's what I remember from it. I remember really, really liking her, and I didn't even make the connection until a few months ago that was the same actress. And I'm like, oh, she's great. Like I really like this actress, and so, kind of having the whole youthful connection, it was interesting. I I hope this isn't weird the way I'm saying this, but did anyone else notice how small she was? I don't usually notice like heights when watching TV too much, but like it was very apparent that she was much shorter than the other cast members. And I don't know, that was something that like I don't know, I was like, oh.
It's funny you say that because in the
Mhm.
one sketch with Marcello and Mikey Longs, it was clear how short Marcello was, and then in the Waffle House sketch, he was the same height as Jenna. So yeah, I did have that kind of train of thought.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, like with the exception of a couple of performances, I'm surprised that somebody as big of again, like I think of, I don't know, this is more of a 2000s term, I guess, but she feels very it girl, you know, like big actress, like starring in huge roles, very likable. There's even like memes and stuff about her. Like, I don't know if anyone sees those TikTok gaming presidents things. There's like they loop her into it, but like people really seem to like this actress and really seem to like the things that she does. So to be honest, I was of the run of those three shows, the Woody, the who else did last week?
Travis Kelce.
Like the Travis Kelce and Jenna. I was like, all right, this is the one that has like the most likelihood to like give me something that I'm gonna enjoy. And so like when I was coming into it, like if I was looking at the batch of those three, I was coming into it the most optimistic. But in terms of the full season, I was like, I don't know, like is Joe Goldberg going to be here? Like, can they both host together? I don't know. So I was kind of just cool on it, but I was like, I had good expectations because a young host means sketches I'll probably get a little bit more, even though I am so close to 30 that it's scary.
I want to talk about the. Yeah, that's fine. I want to talk about something that Bill said.
Where's
It triggered this this discussion that we don't usually get to have here on the podcast, which is about younger people hosting SNL and like what the right age for something is like that. Obviously, we've seen a lot of age diversity this season, and I think that that's probably a good thing to have different types of hosts come in. But there have been some very young hosts in the history of SNL, going back to Drew Barrymore hosting at like 7 years old, Macaulay Culkin, Fred Savage, and then there's been a lot of 18-year-olds, the Olsen twins, Lindsay Lohan. Like there's been a ton of people who have hosted at a young age. And Bill, I'm curious from you, do you think there is an age that's too young to host SNL? Because I've often argued that I feel like probably like 20 or 21 is the cutoff point that I would like to see from an SNL host. So Jenna probably is like at that stage, but how do you feel about it? I don't know if we ever talked about it.
I think it's probably right around that point. The Lindsay Lohan line, maybe, where anything younger than that. You go back and look at the Macaulay episode, the Drew Barrymore episode. They're not doing a lot other than being cute on screen. They're not acting. They're reading from the cue cards constantly. So there's not a lot to get there other than you're getting somebody from Home Alone or E.T., that kind of thing. So I think probably adults. It has to be 18 or above, I think, to work.
Victoria, do you agree?
Yeah, I would say just the audience and the demographics watching this are of a more mature audience, probably late teens and up. I think not that it wouldn't work, it just kind of limits how much you can do with a child, and especially if you're taking in current events and things that may have a more mature content. So I agree. I think she's at that sweet spot of able to work with her and understand and play along well with the rest of the cast.
An interesting aspect of this is like, SNL often tackles humor that could be, especially this season, is like pretty sexual in nature. And the question is like when you bring in a host, like you sort of have to be okay that they're willing to like tackle those types of subjects. Or if you're going to bring in a host that's of a younger age, obviously you're not going to go in that direction. But it's interesting in the past where they've had, I would say like the age group of Jenna Ortega is like probably like 17 to 21, where you're talking about like, teen stars. And a good comparison to what we saw here was perhaps Lindsay Lohan or the Olsen twins, who both hosted. I think they all hosted actually at 17. And their episodes were like, some of these sketches, especially Lindsay's, were extremely sexualized, which wouldn't go down nowadays. So it's interesting, how they're going to, what Jenna Ortega would have been okay with and how they would handle, certain type of humor in different sketches. And what we got was an episode that sort of diverted from a lot of the humor that I think they've been going down, especially, in the Travis episode and the Woody episode, like a lot of like, interesting sexual experience sketches. And I don't think besides the Waffle House one, we got a sketch that had to do really with like love or, you know, romance at all. So I thought, you know, it's an interesting thing to think about how the writers may approach an episode with a younger host. TJ, would love to get your opinion on all this.
Well, to respond to that question first, and then to go to the I can't remember what we were talking about before that, because that was such a compelling
What the
point
right
that you
age is
made.
to
Yes, before I get to the rage thing, the question that you just asked, I think is so interesting because don't we know that the writers write, what is it, like 70 something sketches, bring it on Tuesday night to the host, and they're like, hey, what do you want to do? So I think we're forgetting that element of choice that Jenna herself has. Jenna is, I want to say this in the most like clinical, objective way. Jenna is an attractive actress and a good-looking person, and she's probably sexualized a lot because of like I don't know, grown adults probably. You never know what grown adults are doing, but like she's also appealing to like a younger audience that are also going to be looking at her as attractive. She might be getting that type of energy, not 2000s Paris Hilton energy, but like still a lot of like whatever, I don't know, there's that like gymnast on TikTok that people like are obsessed with, just like a lot of like obsessive like fan industry, because she's also an attractive person. So maybe for her, kind of like in how Selena is reclaiming her own narrative right now, she probably picked some stuff that like just genuinely interested her instead of steered into this idea that might be being created for her. And I think by her doing like more scary Aubrey Plaza type roles, she is kind of curving that whole like it girl like persona, because it's not really what an it girl was in the 2000s, like a Lindsay Lohan. But I think that's such an interesting question, because maybe we just saw, like, maybe for some reason she really liked the idea of an X-Men sketch, and that's what she picked. Like, I like that, and I want to do that sketch. So I think we got to remember that she herself, she's the host. She chose some of these things that she wanted to do, even though these insane writers did write it for her. There could have been something like a gross sexual sketch in that we don't know about. And referring to the question about age, listen to me. It's a quote Andy Samberg in Threw It on the Ground. I'm an adult, okay? I don't want to deal with kids. I mean, I like babies for like 20 minutes and then get them away from me. Like, I have uncle energy. Kids are temporary to me. I don't want to deal with no children, nothing like that. But you know what's also temporary? A TV episode. So I will say this. I am okay. Whatever age, I know they're actually my age now, which is funny. But whatever age the little girls from iCarly were when they started iCarly, Jeanette McCurdy and Miranda Cosgrove, they're probably what, like 12, 13, 14, whatever age they were when they were able to do, good acting or whatever, if you want to call it good acting. I loved iCarly back when I was a kid, whatever. But whatever age they were able to like cohesively adhere to a script and act and perform, that is cool with me, because like you may not be able to be like gross, but SNL has 900 something episodes. It's okay if like they have like different genres for the episode. So if there's one that's more family friendly, it'll just give it a different lens. It'll be kind of interesting, like I think that if you can still write fun and good sketches, you can always save it for the other week. Like, most people aren't fired until the end of the season, man. So as long as you're writing that sketch and saving it for at least the next week, why not give it a try?
Well, I just thought it was interesting because after my second watch of this episode, my takeaway from this was this episode felt, besides the fact that I think the cast was really excelling, I really felt like the part of the reason for that was that the themes of the sketches were so different than some of the weeks we've seen previously. They just, some of the general topics we were seeing between some of the sketches covered in 2023 were fairly similar in nature, but this time perhaps Jenna, not by necessarily her age, because we've seen SNL go down this direction before with a younger host, but by her willingness to stand up and perhaps pick sketches that she felt were more in her nature, forced SNL to then put together an episode that dealt with subject matter we don't normally get to see, including, stuff like the mutant stuff, Parent Trap, like a remake of an old movie, which was kind of fun, like an Exorcism sketch, which I guess goes back to the original days of the show where they covered a horror movie. Lorraine Newman did that in the Richard Pryor episode. So it was just fun to stretch that way. Victoria, you want to jump in on this topic?
Yeah, I think TJ makes a great point about, I think also, so there have been times, some of you know, some of you don't know who are watching, I also perform comedy, and there is a comedy institution in Chicago where when you audition, you have to do clean content. It has to be 100% clean, and it's a test on how you as a performer, as a writer, can you be funny without having to lean on something sexual or gross or something that, can you appeal to everybody essentially at some point, not all the time at the same time rather, but can you do that? And I think it's a good test for the performers, for the writers to see, can you flex? Can you do something a little bit different? And I think also, was it TJ just mentioned it too, that they have a bunch of different shows, different genre and different types is also keeps it from being boring.
Yeah.
That's all.
Oh, for sure. All right. Well, I was very happy to have Jenna Ortega as a host, and we're going to get to her sketches from this episode. But first, I would like to talk about the cold open this week because it felt so different than some of the cold opens we normally get. Not political in nature at all. This time it was Oscars week, and we had the Oscars actually last night. So before the Oscars aired in real life, we had an Oscars red carpet hosted by Marcelo and Heidi, and we had different cast members come play different impressions. So Keenan as Mike Tyson, Chloe as Jamie Lee Curtis, who won last night, Mikey as Colin Farrell, and Molly as Brendan Gleeson, former host from the season. Bowen Yang comes in as George Santos. We also get to see Andrew Dismukes and Devin Walker with some DraftKings betting hosts. Sarah Sherman plays Michelle Williams, Jewish acting coach, and Michael Longfellow at the end as Pinocchio. So this was a fun way to tackle some pop culture impressions that we haven't gotten from the show in a while. Victoria, are you a big Oscars person, and what did you think of this cold open?
I do love a good award show, and it feels like there have been a lot lately. I did watch the Oscars, and I never audibly cheered as loud for someone as I did for Key. I don't know how to say his middle name. Kwan. Do you know what I'm talking about? Anyway,
Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah.
Yes, he's so deserving. He's such a great person. I was cheering. So I do love the awards. I love the fashion of it. I love the magic of cinema, as they say. This was a really fun cold open because, as you just mentioned, it wasn't about politics. It was about some of the stuff that we see and know that we don't get to tackle all the time. Like Mario Lopez. When was the last time we saw Mario Lopez on Saturday Night Live? Or when was he mentioned?
So Andy Samberg played Mario Lopez once before. This was in like a very random sketch in the late 2000s.
Right. And then the whole like Heidi Garden being like, I'm Maria Menounos or Kit Hoover. They haven't told me which one yet. Like that is so funny because they like interchange a lot at these things. So it was just really cool. I would say my favorite part, not that you asked, but my favorite part about the cold open was the rounds thing. And he said like George Santos to play Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And like, I like hope and pray that would happen, and it didn't. So it's okay.
You hoped in real life George Santos would show up to the red carpet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You never know.
That man has like, we have the same 24 hours as George Santos, and he's like just doing a lot, it's scary and impressive.
For sure. I mean, Bill, I have to be honest with our audience where I love award shows. I can't really do the Oscars. I find it drags for a very long time, but I can do the red carpet. I've always enjoyed a good red carpet. So what did you think of this cold open?
John, you can't set yourself up like that.
I'm with you, John. I mean, I don't watch as many movies as I used to. So like the Emmys are still relevant to me. The Grammys are still relevant to me. The Oscars, I see these movies usually after the Oscars happen because it's just the way of the world right now. But I do like the red carpet. I do like what they did here. I'm always game for them to do something different. I love the Mike Tyson impression by Keenan. We'll have to check with Mike Murray. Maybe you know this off the top of your head, John, but is this the longest between impressions? Because Keenan did Tyson in a Robert Smigel TV Funhouse in 2005. So it's 18 years between him doing this impression.
Yeah, I would say I'd have to check. I think off the top of my head, there has to be one that's longer, but I did on Saturday on the Hot Take Show say that this is the first time he did it. And I completely had forgotten about that because it was just like a voice impression. He didn't actually play him in person, but right. Yeah, I mean, I go back to Tracy Morgan playing Mike Tyson a few times. And then, Mike Tyson himself, if you remember that sketch in season 35, Mike Tyson appeared on What Up With That. So that he was pretty pissed at Kenan Thompson once upon a time in a sketch.
That's right. And then ending with George Santos, this is as close to a runner as we get on SNL now. And you might be the only one to get this, John, but it kind of reminded me of Robert Lotta, the character that Rich Hall played in season 10. If you don't remember, I'm sure TJ knows this because he's very familiar with those mid-'80s SNLs. But
is this Tim Kazurinsky all over
no,
again?
it's not. It's no, I'm not gonna no. But Rich Hall played this character. This it was an actual person who snuck into the White House with the military band, and then so SNL did this runner the entire season of Robert Lotta showing up on the Weekend Update desk and kind of wandering into scenes and things like that. It was very meta, and we don't really get that anymore. So, but I feel like this is our Robert Lotta, that George Santos is just going to show up randomly in different sketches like this for no reason at all. So I'm glad they're leaning into that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, mostly this worked for me.
I think it was a funny anecdote, but I would say there were some other parts to me that probably worked a little bit better, including, just setting TJ up here in a second, but including Mikey and Molly together as Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell, where I thought they were pretty good.
Take work our troops for your bay.
Hey, me Glen Pew Atari Swiddle Toonie trees in it.
Yeah.
It really just felt like a great Brendan Gleeson monologue, TJ.
Oh, God. What's the question, John? Like,
what did you think of the cold open?
What do I think of the cold open? Okay, what do I have here in my notes? I'll be honest, they had me really early with the line about like, here's a pan to women's feet, which I just thought was a really funny line, just like clipped together. Then a bunch of like pictures of like ankles. This dragged on. You know what? For so long, I've been like, oh God, here we go, another political cold open. And I'll be honest, I feel like they've done much better on cold opens this season than they were doing the past like 6-7 years. I mean, maybe it's just recency bias because I can't remember like every single cold open, but I don't think there hasn't been at least as much Trump and Biden for me that isn't like at least for me. I feel like they've tried a couple of different things, but I don't know, like maybe it's just recency bias. I keep forgetting.
We got a little bit of Trump on update though, but we'll put a pin in that until later.
Yes, yeah, we'll put a pin in that. How do I want to phrase this? I keep forgetting for like the past 7 years, 8 years, whenever they started doing, whenever Alex started showing up in the cold opens, I've been thinking, God, can we just get this over with? And I've had like one cold open in all of my time of watching SNL that I've been like, this is one of my favorite sketches. This is the R. Kelly one. That's one. So for so long, I've been wanting like, just like, oh, the political cold opens, they drag. I keep forgetting that like when I do actually get one that's not political, then I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed, like, I still need this to like work for me. And I could see what they were going for, but I'm also not an Oscars person. I could give a flying rat's ass about the Oscars. Like, I like the Emmys and I listen to a lot of music. So the Grammy, like I look at the winners like the day after, but like you couldn't pay me to watch the Oscars. You can't pay me to watch an award show. Actually, that's not true. I'd like money. So yeah, you totally could pay me to watch the Oscars. But that's besides the point. This cold open reminded me that like I still need like it. I don't know what I wanted. It just didn't work for me as much as I wanted it to. And maybe it's also because like the whole Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell of it all. I have not seen one of those. I have not seen. The only thing I know about Colin Farrell is that there was a Family Guy joke about him in 2005. Like that's the most like. And apparently there was something about Irish racism. And I was like, let me at least. I watched like a trailer of their movie. Like my hatred. Okay, I was telling this in the pre-show. My dislike for that Brendan Gleeson episode is so strong that I did not realize that Molly was playing Brendan Gleeson. Like I just rewatched that 20 minutes ago and
you thought it was actually Brendan Gleeson.
I didn't think it was Brendan Gleeson. My fog of like my contempt for that episode was so strong, and I was like, "Can we get this over with?" That I was like, I didn't even clock that Molly was doing a really fun. I don't even want to. The worst fun in Brendan Gleeson. I don't want to be paired together.
I mean, this sounded great.
Take work our troops for your bay.
Hey, me Glen Pew Atari Swiddle Toonie trees in it.
Yeah.
Look, Molly has not done any wrong, but I want to say this: this cold open, it wasn't. I think because we have gotten changes of pace from like heavy political cold opens, that it wasn't as refreshing as like when we saw the Britney cold open, because like now we're seeing them try new things and it's good, but I guess I just wouldn't mind. I don't know. It just wasn't for me. And also, the minute you could tell the second it was running too long for myself when they changed sets to a complete, like that Dismukes and Devin thing, where they had like, that was about they were probably there for what, like a minute and a half, John. That probably in itself, you could probably picture was like, I wonder if that was a sketch they were going to write themselves.
They could have
like
got that.
exactly, like, and so it kind of just made it drag a little bit. Also, just never forget that we are all Ukraine.
Right. Let me just make two observations. One, let me just say, if you were watching this cold open at some point and didn't know what year this was from, and you saw impressions of Mario Lopez, Mike Tyson, and Jamie Lee Curtis, let alone Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, I think you'd think this was like from 15 years ago.
Exactly.
But second, let me just say to all the people out there who may have been partially offended by the Irish speak here, I just for equal time purposes, just so you know, we're not making fun of the Irish. I will also play this from Sarah Sherman.
My hair is fakak, but Baruch Hashem, I'm here.
Okay, so equal time, all right, and it was fun.
We're not making fun of the Irish. I'm making fun of Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell, but they're also successful and rich, and I'm just a guy on the internet. So what does that matter?
Exactly, TJ.
I have perspective.
Right,
I can hate, but I have perspective.
Let's do it. Let's get into the sketches we want to talk about from this episode. And Victoria, I will send it over to you for our first deep dive into one of the sketches.
Yeah, I would love to talk about Waffle House. I thought it was such a fun sketch. I think it was doing two things at once, but was able to do them simultaneously without being overly distracting, at least for me. I think we got to see them have their conversation, their emotional, like, I'm going to New York City. I'm not going to stay, or whatever she said. I also gave her a Southern accent. But while in the back, there's all this funny stuff happening. It was chaos. But I think just the juxtaposition of them, that's what I appreciate most about this sketch. And I just want to give that's my angle that I'm coming from, is the juxtaposition of these two folks are having a serious conversation. There's chaos in the background, but the chaos didn't overtake from their conversation, so that you can appreciate what's going on in front of you as well as in the back. And then the thing that tied everything together and was for me was Mikey Day being her dad at the end of it. It's like cheesy a little bit, kind of corny that he would be the dad as he's like being thrown out the window. But that's just like classic humor for me. And I really enjoyed that. Also, that's when I also noticed the size of Jenna Ortega being a small girl.
Right.
But mature woman.
For sure. I have to say, this is probably my favorite sketch of 2023 so far. I think this was so brilliant, the way that they did it. I love the fact that it's set up basically as like a teen drama, like something you would expect Jenna Ortega to actually be in a show like this. Marcelo was perfectly casted as her opposite here, and they're, playing the scene. And I can tell you, I've watched this sketch 4 or 5 times. I still haven't been able to listen to what Jenna and Marcelo are saying to each other, because I am so distracted by what I keep trying. I'm like, wait, like what? You know what I'm saying, TJ?
Right.
I'm like, what are they?
Right.
What are they saying? Because the craziness that's happening in the background is so hilarious to me. I think they were just like this is, to me, is how you use like a large cast in a sketch. Like, you'll often hear me complaining in the past about like, okay, too many cast members in a sketch and it feels unnecessary. I think what works here so brilliantly is that it's like they fill the scene in a way that doesn't feel like overwhelming and doesn't feel unnecessary. Like, every single person that comes in is doing something different and funny and exciting, and it escalates in the right way, where you have like Ego falling off the bar, and then Devin getting hit in the head with the pan, and then the taser, and the kid stealing the gun. Like, there was just like every minute that you were looking back there, it felt like an Easter egg or a fun surprise that you weren't really supposed to be seeing, but you are seeing it. And I think that's what makes this sketch so much fun. So Bill, did you enjoy it as much as I did?
I thought this on Saturday, and I think it even more now, having watched it about 5 or 6 times myself. This is definitely the best pre-tape of the season by far. This was so brilliantly done. There's so many details, as you said. all of the different things that are going on. And I'm obsessed with who these extras are now. Like after watching this, it was like watching the Zapruder film. You've got this kid that steals the gun off of Dismukes. Who was that? You've got this fat shirtless guy running through with a cowboy hat on, dancing around. Who was that?
That was my husband.
Actually, the little boy was actually Jenna Ortega. That was why I kept mentioning how small she was.
See, I thought the little boy was like Tiny Tim, the one that got hit, like, and then just went down.
That was Sarah.
Drain.
Oh, but
no,
no,
didn't Tiny Tim go down the drain? Go ahead, Bill.
Yes. No, this was brilliant. And it's so spot on with Waffle House. You guys talked about it on Saturday night. I moved to Atlanta in my early 20s, and I had been to Denny's and IHOP at late at night when things get crazy in these places. But this is Waffle House at 6 o'clock at night. Like, it doesn't matter where it is or which town it's in, or no. This is you go there for the grits, you stay for the entertainment. So this was so whoever made this definitely lived in the South at some point.
Is
Fantastic.
that the Waffle House slogan? Come here for the grits, stay for the entertainment.
Yes, I work for them actually.
That's pretty good.
So I'm their ad man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll say with regards to who made this, got to shout out Mikey and Streeter for writing this as well. Mike Diva for directing it, Ryan Spears for editing, and then there's like a million people who worked on this as well. So I don't want to like shout out. I'm acknowledging that there's so many people that worked on this that were amazing. I did post on Instagram that sketches like these are the reason why we have to support and appreciate the film unit at SNL, and whatever happens in the future with whether they're going to strike or be properly supported or not, we're obviously on their side. And for anyone who's like somewhat interested in SNL and maybe doesn't have the same like it's more of a casual, and then they see something like this, you need to understand how like difficult it is to put something like this together. So I was messaging with some of the people in the film unit about this sketch and just saying like, this is fantastic. Please let me know if you have any like fun anecdotes I could share on the podcast. And this was a really fun thing when it came to producing this sketch, which was one fun fact about this one was that all the shots where you see Marcelo and Jenna in the foreground while action was happening in the background were done as two separate shots using a green screen. So it's not like they filmed basically the two, them in front and then all the stuff is happening in the back. They filmed them completely separate. So they have a green screen going on behind Marcelo and Jenna, and then they inserted all those shots after. And if you go, I think it's Damage Studios posted on Instagram, and hopefully I credit that correctly, posted a very fun behind the scenes video of Mikey being thrown through the window and being like, caught in some net or whatever. So you could see like some background on this. Anyways, this is not like some type of high school production in the way that maybe home movies were created back at the beginning of SNL. These are like full on feature film shoots that they produce, and amazing commercials and incredible creative, ways to produce pre-filmed materials. So I have to give all credit to everyone involved. TJ, how did you feel about it?
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. If this wasn't the most America sketch we have had in, I don't know, a football player in a
Speaking of American Idol, by the way.
I don't know, a football player in a country singer with the show last week. So this is probably very American. But like, this was just that song says what I needed to say. It's just very American. You guys are commenting on all the right things. I did have one question. Waffle House has lately been in the TikTok sphere because I don't know what her official name is, but some call her the chair girl. I don't know if any of our listeners or anybody who's watching right now know what I'm talking about. There was a woman who had a chair thrown, a Waffle House worker that had a chair thrown at her, and this bitch caught the chair. And there have been like recreations and like people drawing her as like an anime character catching the chair. Actually, she didn't catch the chair. She took the chair like a G, like it hit her in the arm, and she like didn't get knocked down. She absorbed the blow and redirected the chair out of the way, like she was airbending that shit. And so that's what Waffle House has been in my mind for, because of this chair girl. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about. But like, Heidi was dressed as that girl, and so at some point I expected a chair. Like, you guys had this perfect sketch. You could have added some sprinkles to the top of it, and you didn't. But it's okay, because this was incredible. You know what? We talk a lot about it on this program. We talk so much about sketches that we would share to the mainstream, because everyone here on this program right now, and all of us that are interviewed, that are watching live, Manette, Demi, all of you, we're nerds, every single one of us, because we love this show so much. But when I think about people that like, you know, I don't know, like that don't watch the show like us, but like that we share things with, this is one of those sketches you share to the world. You know, this is one of those things that just reminds you why SNL is this 45-year plus, you know, 48 year, like long running incredible phenom. And for fuck's sake, pay these editors, like just give them the money. We were all talking and like everyone was like, sorry, I'm getting very graphic. Everyone was like gushing over the HBO Mario Kart thing. Like just, this is incredible, wonderful work. And I swear to God, SNL, if you, pardon me again, John, for this one, if you fuck up my Quinta Brunson episode, you will feel my wrath. And I don't know in what form that wrath may be. You know, I make a very modest income, but like still.
TJ's already booked himself for the hot take show for that particular episode, just so
John messaged me like saying like, oh, I know this is gonna, like, I have been, this is my arc.
Well, let's say that until after.
Yeah.
We'll end the show.
It was a great sketch. It was a really great sketch.
I think you should also, like, you didn't give credit to perhaps the most important person in the sketch, John.
Okay, which is?
Mikey Day's nipple ring.
Yeah, I think it's because he put them on. He put them in his pants, so I lost sight of them. But yes,
I'll see your nipple rings, and I'll raise you one Dukes of Hazzard tattoo on his back, which I missed until the third time and went, oh my God.
A blink and you miss it tattoo.
Yes.
Like he turned on for like a second and I caught that.
Yeah, honestly, good for Mikey. I think a lot of us, were, rightfully so, talking about have we seen everything we could possibly see from Mikey? And I do feel like this season he's challenged himself to bring something else to the table. So honestly, hard to find much more to praise because this was amazing. I just hope that, if we end up going into an April 1st episode where it is all live sketches, I think we're going to have fun with it and talk about, what SNL would look like in an episode without any pre-tapes. But we have to keep in mind that there is a reason why we have 2 or 3 pre-tapes in an episode, because it makes the show better. So let's not lose sight of the fact when we are enjoying ourselves on April 1st, potentially still.
Exactly. And well, again, like part of it is like, don't mess with my Quinta episode. But 2, like those, I'm not even kidding. But 2, those pre-tapes, that first and second pre-tape, break up and give them time to swap out. Do you people like, okay, and the problem is the viewers can't really change anything except we can only like push the boat as SNL, but ultimately it's their decision, it's their HR department. But like, we have our live sketch, then we have a pre-tape. During that pre-tape, they're not just sitting around sipping Capri Suns, although I don't know why that makes you want a Capri Sun, but it doesn't matter. They're changing things out so they can get us a second live sketch without a commercial break. Less pre-tapes means more commercials, which I guess
no, that's not true. That's not
okay.
true.
Fire. Okay, hit me.
Yeah, no, just to clarify that, the commercials have nothing to do with the show itself. The commercials are inserted by the network. So they have a lot of time for commercials. They wouldn't get more commercials and like use the time to sell more advertising dollars. The commercial.
John, you really don't think a corporation wouldn't do that? Come on.
No, 100% not. No, the show is given the time to produce the show, and whatever they end up putting on is up to the show at that point. But it's not, the time would not be then allotted to advertising. Bill, back up.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, there's a very strict amount of commercial time that they'll put in any network show. I think what we'll end up seeing is these very elongated sketches that we're complaining about that are 9 or 10 minutes long because they're not going to want to change the set, change the dressing. So we're going to end up with these, kind of parades of everybody coming in, and we're going to get that 3 or 4 times in a show, which is going to be very tedious. But that's for another day.
They're going to torch my girl,
Yeah, can I just also say there was a cut pre-tape from this episode. It was called "Will Ad" by SNL, but some people are calling it "Future Trust." But this is a, I'm not going to give you the premise of the pre-tape in case it happens in that episode, so we don't spoil it. But basically, this was a pre-tape that was cut from the Keke Palmer episode, also cut from this episode. I think they're probably putting it in the can for April 1st in case they need it. So I would expect that to air then as a good breakup between 2 sketches that have more than just a quick change. Victoria, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, like, everything being said just points to how, especially in 2023, every single piece of this show is important. The little stuff, the big stuff. I mean, performing is so it's a joy, and it's if you're a performer, you love to do it, but it's also incredibly hard, and that's why there's intermissions at Broadway shows and all that too. I hope that I have a feeling that they're going to do the right thing, because I also feel the same way about Quinta Brunson. She is someone I completely admire and is someone I want to follow in the footsteps of. And if she, here's the thing though, I think she'll, if there,
another small host, another very small. Yeah, she's very small. She's very
I don't want to interrupt the discussion, but I know we're going to talk about this at the end of the podcast. So I just really want to pivot again over to finishing up our discussion of these sketches from the Jenna episode and give them their due, and then we'll talk all Quinta Brunson as much as we want. So Bill,
we just talk about Quinta.
We will. We'll get there. We're going to have a whole week coverage of that show as well. But Bill, let's go to the sketch that you do want to talk about.
I'd like to talk about the latest in a brilliant string by PDD called Road Trip. We start off with this, they're sitting in their office, what they did last week and the previous couple of weeks, where they start in the office and then they branch out. So they decide to go on this road trip, and they invite Jenna Ortega to come with them. And they start singing this real bop about going on a road trip across the country. And it just kind of devolves from there. They're all happy, but then they miss the exit because Martin's not paying attention to the nav. He's got to focus on the nav. And, then it cuts to the Slurpees and Jenna's slurping this. And I mean, this covers everything that you want in a road trip. Everybody can relate to this on some level. The nerves that are frayed by sitting in a car with someone for a long time, listening to their crappy music, listening to them slurp their drink. This was perfect. This PDD just continues to kill it. Never a bad pre-tape by them. Loved everything about this.
There was this weird storyline going on where like Martin was being such like a weird passive aggressive weirdo. Like I didn't catch this on the first watch, but there's this moment where Martin says this that I thought was so funny. You're not in charge of me. Did you get that?
Yeah.
He's like, you're not in charge of me.
Just like
Which was, I thought, it was so amazing because he was just like so upset at Jon for bossing him around. And it's like, that is the fun of a road trip, which is like, you go out and you're so excited, like, hey, everybody, we're going to go on a road trip for hours. And then you realize like, oh, wow, I'm stuck in a car with these people for hours and there's nothing I can do about it. And I think that they played on that really well. And I thought it was really well done. And for a third week in a row of PDD, I don't feel like we got diminishing returns here. I think it was just as solid as some of the previous ones. So TJ, how do you feel about PDD this week?
There's a Kenan character that like I've never understood a day in my life, but for some reason, one word from this character pops in my head, which is just the phrase "never lost," which I think is like him doing an impression of like a sports guy. Lamar, I think it's Lamar Odom. I think that's
is it LeVar Ball?
LeVar Ball. It's LeVar Ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never lost. And so these boys have not lost. I mean, they've had a couple of duds, but their like batting average is incredible. Like even their cut for time stuff, like Rami Wants a Treat. That's one of my favorite ones from last season. Like they are doing like phenomenal work. And let's talk a minute to talk about road trips for just a second here. What moron is doing the nav and DJing at the same time? Those are two essential, very specific jobs. And look, I know some of y'all might think, oh, TJ, I have the dexterity and the wherewithal and the creative, flexibility to do these things. No, you don't. They require your full attention. Nav requires your passive attention. DJing is a full-time job when you are behind. I don't care if you got to drive 6 minutes to get to like a mailbox or something like that. DJing is somebody who like I DJ dances sometimes. Like when I'm in the car, when I'm driving, which I like, I don't know, this is like I'm like old school on like a couple of things. I like to be the guy that drives. Like I don't know why I like that, but like I like being the one to drive.
Me too. I'm like that too.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm like, maybe it's like because I get motion sick if I'm in the passenger seat. That might be more so. But
It's the
I like
control for me.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like I don't know, but I do prefer to be the one that drives. And so I'm also going to DJ. If I'm driving, it's going to be my music. Now here's the thing. I have incredible taste when it comes to bops because I make people dance a lot. But that's not everybody. Some people are out here putting on Kelsey Ballerini. Yeah, John, that's an attack. That's what just happened right there. But like I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm doing this. That has nothing to do with John.
Better than Morgan Wallen.
You know what? Actually, Morgan Wallen has a song I like. I can't even front. I know that's crazy, and I'm black too. Like, that's wild.
That's a deep SNN cut from.
I know.
Yeah.
No, but that's besides the point. Like the road trip is. It's funny. I made like a small. I made like a little. I made a reel or like a sketch about this like a few years ago where my buddies and I we were like really excited to go on a road trip. We're gonna go to the beach. All of us, we were like hooting and hollering. We get in the car, and I realized, oh my god. Like just what John said, I'm in the car with these ninjas for 3 hours. Like it's just here. Like we were sitting. It was just 3 men sitting in silence. Like the road trip is like, you know, I do wonder, like they say the Great American Road Trip, but I do wonder, like, you know, John, you're Canadian, or like some of our European listeners.
We have road trips up here.
Yeah, no, I'm assuming you guys do, but I'm wondering. No, like I'm more wondering about like our additional international listeners. You know, like they kept saying the Great American Road Trip, but I'm just wondering, is there different road trip customs for all the cultures? So this was a lot of fun. It made me think, but also do not DJ and nav if you are not capable of it. All right.
Yeah, I gotta interrupt here and just say, like, I sort of feel that like it's the driver's responsibility to pick the music, and like,
yes, thank you.
You can be cognizant of like your passengers and be like, okay, like I'm not going to play exactly what I want because I know that like the driver is going to enjoy it, but it is ultimately the final decision goes to the driver.
You're goddamn right, it does.
Absolutely, John.
Absolutely.
Let me say, my wife and I we've gone on road trips for 19 years now. We split the driving. Whoever is driving controls it, and my playlist is so damn long. I'm ready. Nobody has to fix it for me. I know exactly what is on my playlist. If we're going 3 hours, I've got 3 hours worth of songs. We're going 6 hours, I have 6 hours worth of songs. So absolutely, it's the driver. Yeah,
Bill is ready. He's ready.
Yes.
Yeah, I also say, like, when I'm alone in the car, like most of the time I'm listening to a podcast, but like when there's people in the car with me, it's like I can't put on a podcast. Like that's insane, right? Like you can't just like.
Well, John, you are also a host. You're a host as well, and you also DJ. Look, I don't think that DJ needs to extend to just good music, because we're podcasters, we're producers, and we also, which means we're curators. And I know how to curate a good podcast.
Yeah.
I know a good like 10, 15, 20-minute podcast that I sometimes will throw in, like, hey, it was this fun, interesting idea. You know, you want to, like, I don't know, like, but I've listened to a lot of shows and a lot of podcasts that like try different things. And so I know like what might work. And so I'll ask people, and I do like to curate the experience for the car. So like, I'll see what the group wants to hear, but there's still hard lines that'll happen. And sometimes I just want to hear show tunes. Like sometimes I don't care. We're listening to, I want to listen to, let's put on, you know, Moving Right Along from the Muppets movie. Like, I don't know, like we're going to play what I want to play. Yes, Bill, I know that song. It's one of my favorite Muppet songs.
I'm 100% with you. That is definitely on one of my playlists.
It's a great...
Let's let Victoria in with her thoughts.
Yes, Victoria, go ahead.
I have a rule of thumb when it comes to making playlists as the driver, and I like to drive because one, I just feel safer that way. But that being said, I have a rule: 1 for you, 3 for me, and that's the
You're too nice. You're too nice.
Okay.
But the 1 for you is like a general, like everyone loves this song. Like everyone loves "I Want It That Way" by the Backstreet Boys. Like everyone knows that.
Of course, favorite song of all time.
But also, but I also like really heavily just like talking to people. It keeps me like engaged and awake.
Sure.
Versus, you know, but also what is.
Well, can I also just say that like part of the reason why I kept my satellite radio that I have in the car, which is like seems like a little bit old school. I feel like everyone's using Spotify now, but like I use satellite radio in the car is because sometimes I like the music to be picked for me, but I like the control of choosing the channel that I'm picking.
John, there's literally Spotify can literally pick the music for you. There's literally an AI DJ now.
There's literally radio.
There's literally radio. There's Discover Weeklies, release radars, things made for. There's literally a made for you tab, John, that you can click on when you go to search. listeners, hear
I
me
don't know. I
out.
can't get rid of my satellite radio. I just
No.
They have
Listen, no. This is a PSA. Listeners, if you are a Spotify listener and for some reason you don't know this, go to your search bar. There's two things. One, search on the phrase on repeat. It'll give you a list of the most 25 recent songs you've been listening to. It'll update every 3 days. So if you're wondering, I want to hear something when I go in the shower, but I don't feel like picking this up, put that on. Two, search again. Go to the search tab again. Scroll down like 3 or 4 boxes. You'll see a picture most likely of Olivia Rodrigo that says made for you. Click on that. You will find your top songs. You'll find that Spotify has been out here watching you. And you know
Is
what?
that like a
I'm
play
okay
on
with
good
it.
for you, like made for you? You know, like, is
Oh
that
my
what it-
God, I think it is.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until now. But,
Okay.
but that's besides the point. It is playlists and everything made just for you based on your listening habits. Listeners, if you don't know this, I guarantee you this will change your life if you are like somebody who loves to find and curate music. Like this is for you. If you don't know about this feature, you're wasting your time. But it's for you. Sorry,
All right.
I love Spotify.
Well, Victoria,
so much.
what were your thoughts on the sketch itself?
What a
What were we
tangent.
talking about?
I know, like
These
what were
guys-
you even
these
What
don't
were we
destroy.
talking about?
Yeah.
What even? Road trip, that was my actually my all-time favorite of the night. I really love that. That also another reason, I think someone mentioned it here too. Like I don't like sitting in the back because I do get car sick and I get a lot of anxiety. It just feels like very closed in. The air feels heavy. But when she was like, I'm gonna throw
the
up.
back is too reclined. Sorry.
Yeah. When she's like, I'm gonna throw up. I get car sick when I read. I'm like, oh my God, me too. Like I love to read and I'm like, this is the perfect time to read, or so you think, but I really get overwhelmed. I'm just like, the fact that I can't move or like stand
Same.
up or breathe or live my life.
Can I also just say, like, I've had a lot of sorry, Victoria, I was gonna say really quickly, I have
Oh my God.
a lot of experiences like going up to like camp with like other people and like sitting in the backseat of the car, and like the line that she said, she's like, your leg hair is touching me, like hits so close to home
Yes.
because like going up
Okay.
and like with people with shorts, it's
Wait,
I
John, do you not
also
wear
have-
shorts? Sorry, Victoria.
I always wear shorts. I love wearing shorts, but I'm saying
Oh,
it's
okay.
like it's the leg hair, it definitely touches in the back seat. Yeah.
John, you don't have shorts energy. Like it's just. It
Oh,
was
I'm
very-
big shorts energy.
You're big shorts. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Victoria. Go ahead.
Yeah.
well,
It's a fun episode.
I don't learn more about John today than I reckoned I would. No, I also have misophonia. It's like when noises, like people get like chewing noises, slurping. So like the whole slurping thing, like I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt represented, I felt like someone got me. Like chewing sounds or when people like do this with their pens.
You don't
It
like
just-
a clicky top? Oh, it's one of the most satisfying sounds in the
Let's
world.
not get into like 10 minutes on ASMR. Yeah.
No, I like
So
ASMR
no
videos.
ASMR playlist for you in the car?
No, I hate when people. No, I hate when people whisper in my ear, and it's like they make like.
Victoria, you're on the internet. Don't tell people things that you hate unless you're ready for them to do it to you. I'm chewing gum right now. Like
No,
I'm
I'm-
so ready to just do it into the microphone.
So we all enjoyed the sketch.
I will do.
Yep,
Yes, sketch was an 11 out of 10. To TJ's point earlier, I was going to say this too. Please don't destroy. Like there hasn't been something that they've put out where I was like, maybe not, because I've really loved everything they've put out. There's like some that are lower energy than others, but overall, like these 3 dudes are 2 of my favorite Nepo babies. So worth the nepotism for me.
I recently rewatched. I was feeling like the need for some PDD a few weeks ago, and I decided like, oh, let me put on the hits. But I
Yeah.
really I put on the playlist,
get
and I
it.
was like, I still find that first one about like the hard seltzer clothing store flavors just
Yeah.
as funny as like the minute I hear the phrase men's jackets, it's still like it's been in my head for the past 2 years. It's still so funny to me. And like I think with the exception of like the time traveling one where like they've run into their older selves, that's probably the weakest one for me. But like even that Taylor Swift and Pete Davidson, I'm like, even that one's a good one. Like
Yeah.
I mean, these, of course you want to hate them because they're Nepo babies, but they are so talented and so funny. You like it. This is the type of thing that like Chet Hanks isn't good at. Like it's like, oh, these people clearly have talent. Like they clearly, or like something that like Maud Apatow is good at. Like they clearly have talent, and it is okay that they got these opportunities as opposed to wasting them doing shitty Jamaican accents. That is.
Yeah.
Can I also just say I typically don't like talk about like personal experiences like in terms of interacting with certain people on SNL over here for in all aspects of things, but I'll say like PDD they're really nice. Like they're really nice people, and despite all the talks about baby stuff, I think they're really nice and they're doing a really good job on the show. And I think they have a movie coming out this summer, which will be like fun, and hopefully we'll get to talk about that one as well on the podcast over the summer. So I'm excited and supportive of them. And if this is the last PDD short that we get for obvious reasons on this season, I think they had a very solid second season on the show. So
yeah, and they were even in the a promo like SNL's. I don't know if this film unit that does our pre-tapes is also doing we've got a lot of pre-tape promos this season. I don't remember if it started with the first episode or with the fifth, but I remember like we started getting like these pre-tape promos, and then from then on, like they were knocking out of the park with these great promos. And PDD was in the most recent one with Jenna, and that one was getting around. Like I didn't even see it on Instagram or YouTube. Like I saw it on Facebook. And so these boys are hysterical. Like I can't sing their praises enough. They're doing fantastic.
Yeah, I really want to hate them because they're three white dudes who are
I know
babies, but
but they're just funny.
They're just funny. They're objectively funny. If you don't enjoy PDD, I don't trust you. You know,
I don't care that they're white. It's because they're nepo babies. Like there's a lot of funny white people. There's so many.
Well,
even on the podcast,
but like the nepo baby thing made me really want to hate. But like, because I was like, oh, you're the son of John, like of Steve Higgins. Steve Higgins to me is one of the funniest people ever.
Yes.
He's like Martin Short level funny. I love Steve Higgins, and
you're gonna like it when my son takes over this Saturday Night Network.
I'm gonna be doing this for 30 years.
Wow. See, white people are funny.
Yeah, can I just say, just by complete coincidence, my dad is named Steve and I'm John. But anyways,
wow,
yeah.
That's so
yeah. All right, let's. On that note,
sorry, I'm not focusing.
Okay, let's move on to TJ's sketch or moment of the night he wants to talk about.
Yes, sir. I almost forgot that we've been podcasting about SNL because we're having such a good time here. You're welcome, because that's just the type of energy that I breathe. Okay, what the ham sandwich? Oh, all right. So one thing I really enjoy about coming onto this podcast is I like referencing other episodes that I've done or that I've listened to because, well, this is a really fun podcast to listen to and to hear it throughout the season, reference callbacks to not just the show, but ourselves. It's fun because we come back and we have like narratives, like trying to cancel John or, not knowing who Tim Kaz or what the fuck his name is. But that was just an attack. And with that, I feel like I've completed an arc myself. I've completed 2 arcs, John. 1, Quinta Brunson is booked on the April 1st show. And 2, I love James Austin Johnson. That is the arc. If for those who don't know, when he first came on, I was like, what is this Elmer's glue stick skin boy doing on this show? But you know what it was? It wasn't him. I even said he's a talented, funny guy. It was what SNL presented him doing to me. He was doing Trump and Biden. What is TJ not like? Political sketches. So what is TJ not going to enjoy? The guy that's doing the political sketches. You guys called him the king, the cold open king. You were on this hit. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be graphic.
I think Darren Patterson did that. I'm going to give him credit for that, just in case he's listening. But yeah,
you guys were on. Oh no, Darren was actually on my podcast recently. You guys were on JAJ that first year, and I just wasn't feeling. I was like, he's funny, sure, but I just wasn't at the level. And now, again, by the way, I'm just a guy on the internet, so like he, of course, he's great, but like
you're a journalist. Give yourself some credit.
Oh my goodness, I'm a podcast. I'm not a journalist, but like a couple years ago, John sent me the audition tape for James Austin Johnson. And I loved it. I was like, I got to see like all his realm of possibility and talent, but I just kept seeing the political sketches. So when I would get to see him branch out just a little bit, I'd be like, oh, that was really fun. This season, and it was this episode that took me realizing it, that, and I think whatever the episode was with Aubrey with the rhinoplasty thing, they were having him do so many different things. He's not just doing cold opens. And I feel like I wish this would have been his first year, because I would have loved this guy. He's getting a chance to really show his chops, like doing the I don't know what it's really called. I just call it the Janet Snakehole sketch that Aubrey Plaza did with him. King Brothers Toyotathon is one of my favorite sketches of the season, and getting to see James Austin Johnson come out onto Weekend Update to just do what he does best so late into his like firecracker first couple of years. I mean, this guy is. I finally get why you guys were on this guy's. Sorry for this one. Why you were on his dick for like 2 years. I finally see it. I finally feel like I see the light. But like, I love these impressions. The minute he did Adam Driver calling Hannah a child. Look, we did a lot of things during the pandemic we may not be proud of. During the pandemic, I watched every single episode of both Girls and Entourage. I mean, I thought for some reason I might balance the two out. We had a lot of time during the pandemic. I played a lot of Pokemon and watched a lot of HBO. So I even though I hate Lady Dunham, I love that show. I know that character and I've seen Star Wars. And so I love these little micro impressions. And this was also, here's a third arc. This was the first time in like 7-8 years that I loved a Trump impression. Not liked, loved. When he said, "We've been waiting a very long time for that Negroni," like I truly appreciated that. Because I wasn't seeing the guy, I was just seeing the comedian. And I finally see this comedian, and you know, I'm loving this guy's journey in his second season. I still could give a fuck about the first season, I really could. But like his second season, I love what I've seen him do. I like seeing him team up with Dismukes as well, because we're seeing him do a pairing like we saw Heidi and Chloe earlier this season. We're seeing we're finally seeing they're shaking off the Kate and the Cecily and the 80. That other era is gone, and with stuff like this, we are so in a new era, and it just another way to show that. So I can't sing his praises enough.
Also got to give credit his 100th SNL sketch appearance when he was on Weekend Update. So huge props to him for doing that in just, not less than 2 seasons, being able to pull that off. And I think he is absolutely fantastic. He was clearly bred for the show. So to get to see him in person doing his best work was really cool. Like to see the actual person, as TJ said, that was awesome this week. Victoria, any thoughts on Jaj?
Jaj. It's funny. I always say it's shrimp Jaj. It just sounds like like a nice Mediterranean plate I'd eat. No, he impressed me right from the get-go. The fact, like I said, wow. I audibly said wow when his very first episode was him in the cold open taking center stage. He does wonderful impressions. He what's it called? He also just does good characters.
Absolutely.
I feel there's been a trend, at least maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm just, I planted it into my own head, where impressionists kind of get pigeonholed at SNL. I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with him. Because he can explore. He has so much talent in that way. And we're going to talk about MVPs in a little, but he is my front runner for MVP, but we'll talk about more of that why in a few. But everything TJ just said is spot on. And if you've seen him, if you haven't seen him do stand-up, I highly recommend that you do. He is absolutely fantastic. He's all over the place. He uses his body. Like I have pictures of him like on the floor and standing up, and he's really awesome. Listen, he did stand up in Detroit right next to the Justin Bieber concert. And so like high stakes, people were going to walk out and go to Justin Bieber if he went. No, he didn't. Everyone bought their tickets, but it was just so good. And he it was great to see him to like electrify this room and get like such a roaring applause. So he's got that thing. And I see him being kind of in a year or two, maybe even now, and I'm just missing it, but being like the leader of the cast. Should Mikey Day leave, I think he's going to be the male patriarch, if you will.
Oh, I didn't even think about you're right. I didn't even think about him as being the future. I knew he was a star, but I didn't think about him even being like the future leader, the future male leader. Is it because he's not? in the alpha as you guys have been trying to like talk about. Like you guys have been talking about alphas for like 5 episodes.
I mean, it's been a thing for sure. But
Yeah.
you know, the storyline of JJ is really interesting because I think for me, it's like his first season. He comes on and he's obviously like the Swiss Army knife of talent, but he joins
Emphasis
the
on
show.
Swiss.
Yeah, and he joins the show and he's like you know, has to sort of in a way like succumb to the pressures of SNL where he's, you know, is being forced into doing the impressions. Had an amazing first episode where we're all surprised about who is this guy. And you know, basically I feel like SNL was sort of controlling his path in the first season. And then in the second season, it's like taken a little bit, like it was maybe a little bit slower to start the season, but eventually he's now gone to the point where I feel like he's controlling the narrative of what he wants to put on the show. And I think that was fantastic to just get to see everything he's doing. Bill, I'm so impressed. So what else would you like to say about him?
Well, that's a great point. And there was genuine concern that we talked about at the beginning of the season, before Christmas, where we weren't seeing him in these roles. Here's Sarah just on this rocket ship at the beginning of the season as a second season for her. And we weren't seeing him get those roles. And then as TJ points out in the Aubrey episode where he's playing this private eye. And then ever since that moment, it felt like a light switch went off. And it's a nice mix of the impressions and the straight roles. It feels like a Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman kind of thing where, yeah, they're known for their impressions, but they were also in the sketches, you know, playing the husband, playing the boyfriend, you know, playing the card dealer as he did with the Smukes. So I'm very, very impressed. I love this appearance on Weekend Update. It's so interesting to see someone who does an impression all the time on the show not do it in makeup. I don't know how many times we've gotten that in the show, especially in recent years. So that was a very, very cool moment. And then I think James points this out in the chat, but that Bob Dylan cell phone vibration was everything. It was what I did not know I needed. Like that was just fantastic.
Yeah, that was so good. And I think this is a good transition point to talk about the sketch that I want to talk about, which is the Jingle pitch sketch that happened at the end of the night, where we get the team up of JAJ and Andrew Dismukes together. And I could only imagine the two of them sitting in a room together, talking about this idea and trying to come up with fun iterations of a phone number. And it really is a very silly and stupid sketch to end the night. And it's like, so many episodes we've just been waiting, like, give me an Andrew Dismukes sketch, especially at the end of the night, like where we can have some fun and have him be his silly self. And this time we had, you know, a great performer in JJ work with Andrew Dismukes. And as TJ had mentioned, we had that Toyotathon sketch, you know, a few episodes ago, and now we get another version of these two together. And I just thought it was so great because it, you know, for everything we love about Andrew, he is sort of, you know, in a specific style. Like, I don't know that Andrew Dismukes can have the ability to stretch himself out as much as JJ does. It's like when you get Andrew on the show and it's an Andrew Dismukes written sketch, you know what you're going to get. But when you pair him with a dynamic performer like JJ, it sort of like pushes Andrew in a direction that goes even beyond his natural abilities. I sort of compare it in a way to like a basketball player who might be like pretty solid, but when you team him up with somebody who's like extremely skilled, he sort of expands and becomes a better player. I think that Andrew Dismukes is a much better cast member for being paired with James Austin Johnson. So I love what they came up with in this sketch. I thought it was really fun. The whole it was pretty catchy, but then like, yeah, obviously the first two versions of the numbers weren't so great, but I have to say the number that they came up with at the end, the jingle, is stuck in my head and would be a great jingle. So just in case you missed it, this was awesome. 16,725,550,136. I mean, not only did they have fun, but they also came up with a great jingle at the end. So this was a win-win all around. Was it the best sketch in the night? Probably not, but this was exactly what I want to see in a show, if not every week, at least every couple of weeks. So great pairing, great sketch to end the night. Bill, what did you think of it?
Not the best of the night, but I will take this over the back-to-back thruple cliff that we went over last week with Travis Kelce anytime. I love this pairing. Bowen kind of chewed too much of the scenery for me. He kind of went over the top. I know that's what he was supposed to do. I don't usually criticize Bowen because I really like the way that he portrays these characters, but it felt like too much, that they just kept going back to the Lucianos thing and the Luch. And, I didn't love that part of it. But yeah,
Agreed.
this was fun. And it's a nice way to end the night. And yes, that jingle is stuck in my head for sure.
Yeah, I think there was elements of this sketch I probably could have tightened up. I don't know that the Luch and the getting drunk and wanting to go back to the moment where you're drunk completely worked, but it was the Andrew and JJ pairing that I just like couldn't get over. So for me, it sort of elevated everything else. TJ, what did you think of Jingle Pitch?
These outfits, did these boys, were they like watching videos of like Black Southern Baptist preachers, and did they see a bunch of like Cat Williams DVD covers, and then they had me watching Lonely Island videos at the same time and just thought, oh, I have got the look for these characters, and like combined all like that energy into these outfits? Because it was giving, it was giving Sandberg and Timberlake, it was giving Southern Baptist preacher, it was giving Cat Williams circa 2000, or a pimp named Slickback. Like it was giving like that energy. I don't know, like John, you kind of said everything. It just made me think, like, it made me go back and watch King Brothers Toyotathon, because like I really enjoyed that pairing, and then seeing this again, and I'm like, I just want to keep seeing what they do. And it made me realize that Dismukes really is pulling from a lot of stuff that, like, I don't know how old Dismukes is. I don't know if he's the same age as me, but it feels like young millennial stuff, because he's mentioned Disney Channel, the Mario Brothers, the Limo Emo, like a lot of stuff I feel like myself observing a lot. 27. Okay. Like I feel like he's just observed, or 28. I don't know how. Oh, 27. Okay. I'm 29. And so I feel like a lot of the observations he's making, especially about Disney Channel original movies, like I get his really weird sense of humor that he's like going for. So I enjoyed that last jingle, because I found myself like bumping my shoulders at the end. But I realized I forgot the jingles like until you replayed them. So I had fun during the episode, but I didn't like retain it. And so I think I definitely preferred that King Brothers thing, but it definitely like gives me like, these are two weird comedy dudes who just like sat down, had a beer, and they got on a runner and started talking, and like they were like, oh shit, this is like really, really good. And they started doing it, and like, but it's like working. Like, I don't know, I don't have anything else good to say about it, but it worked. Not the strongest, but like it. Actually, no, I'm gonna say it wasn't worked. It was cool. I like the chemistry more than like the sketch. The chemistry. Yeah,
here's how they were dressed. If you're watching on YouTube, this is how they were dressed on Saturday night. So you had the suits. Yeah,
the look did kill me. Oh god,
I love the
hair.
Goatees. Yeah, the hairs, the goatees is great. Yeah, JJ looks fantastic. This was the red carpet look that we needed for this weekend to go over, what are you wearing, JJ and Andrew Dismukes? But I did make the comparison on Saturday night. I said it sort of reminded me a little bit of Round Ball Rock, which was the Tim Robinson and Jason Sudeikis sketch. So just by comparison, just look at these two together who instead do the vest. We still got the goatee look and everything like that, and the hair. So I feel like kind of similar here. And this was a fun pairing as well. That too bad we could have gotten maybe a little bit more of that on the show. But I think we do have a very fun pairing to play with. And Victoria, I would love to get your thoughts on this sketch as well.
This sketch, I just feel absolutely ass out, decked down, and
hey,
loosed.
Yo. Oh.
TJ, let her do her thing, man.
Yo.
Don't judge me. No, it was that I agree with you. It reminded me of a Very Good Talk Show a little bit.
Oh yeah, the wigs.
Yeah. Anyway, no, it was very fun. I love seeing Chloe Fineman break. It was really good. I agree with you. I remember thinking when I was younger, what would someone my age, truly my age, be like on SNL? I think Andrew Dismukes is he gets it. Like there are things that he's brought up that I understand. It's kind of very niche to like the 27 to like 30 range of folks, of like what we were watching on Disney Channel and how much we were watching it, just to TJ's point earlier. And I agree again with also what's her name? John. Sorry. What John said, the
My name?
juxtaposition.
Like his
It's on the screen.
It's on the screen. You saw the email. You've been on the show so damn much this season.
All right. I think this calls for a little bit of a dance off. So
Yo. That really does it, though.
okay, you got
I guess
Victoria?
so, Mike.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, sorry. No, but like I feel like someone like a JJ who's also just been doing this a little bit longer, is a little bit more seasoned, will push Dismukes and others for that matter to push their own their range when it comes to characters, voices. To see Andrew Dismukes in like full costume with a wig and a goatee and all that versus just wearing a polo and slacks for a lot of things was really awesome to see. I think he has it. He's really cool. He's really chill. I think he has the ability to be ass out, dack down, and looched, just as that was the line of the night for me. I'm so
By the
sorry.
way, instant regret. I totally should have played this sound clip when you did that, Victoria.
And I'm starting to think you're a real bitch.
I totally should have.
What the hell? Yo. Can I add a comment to that?
Of course, yeah.
No.
No, not to what you said, Victoria. No, I don't have any roasting for you this episode. Just like a comment on like the whole jingle element of it, because like that last jingle is catchy, but it's not like sticking. This, I don't know if this is like an East Coast thing or whatever. Like my metric for like a good jingle is like the Limu Emu thing, or there was this I don't even know what, I think it was like a carpeting and flooring company called Empire Today, and it was their number, and that was like a 588-2300 Empire Today. Yeah, I don't know if it was national. I don't know how big that commercial was, but that's my metric for like catchy commercial jingle, because I've never seen that store a day in my life, but I know that jingle from like the 2000s and the 2010s, like hearing that. So like, the boys did a good job, but like, there's some solid jingles out there. There's some solid competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're listening and you have any good solid jingles for us at the SNN, feel free to send those along so we can add them to the roster of playing them here.
What about Nutterific, John?
Okay, maybe that's a good one potentially.
So can I ask a question?
I want to do a jingle bracket one day. Yes, TJ, go ahead.
So this is like tangential to this. This song, like these guys were doing songs and they were a little catchy. I was looking at Spotify the other day and I saw that recently SNL uploaded the Travis Kelce thruple song, whatever thing. And it made me wonder, people have been talking about like they want big boys, like they like there's been lots of SNL songs that in the past couple of years that have been really good, but they've been really random about what they're, I don't know if this is the right term, John, like what they've been mastering and then choosing to put out. And it made me think like, oh, this is like a fun jingle. But I don't even remember that like thruple sketch being like a full song the entire time. I just remember being bits and pieces. So it made me think, oh, is this something that would be that?
Yeah, so here's the difference, and the truth behind it is that the difference between Big Boys and Watch from the Corner, which is here, I'll play that for anybody who forgets what sketch that was from. That was this sketch.
I watch from the corner.
That one is sung by only SNL personnel. So it's much easier for them to control how those music rights and stuff and any potential revenue is distributed. When you have SZA involved in singing on Big Boys, that creates a whole other level of agreements and stuff like that. So it's not to say that Big Boys won't ever end up on Spotify, but it's just a different path to get there. So that
because of the label and everything. Oh, exactly. John, thank you. I've been wondering that for like years. So so that explains. Okay, so this song
it's not like they don't like Punky Johnson. Like it's just like it's different. Yeah.
So this song itself is something because it was only SNL players that they could put out like that 12-second jingle.
They have complete control over it because it's everybody involved was part of the machine, right?
That is one of the most interesting things I've learned about on this program. Like facts.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. But why aren't we giving Big Wet that paper? Like, come on.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, final point on JJ is Yeah, Pon and JJ, which is just to summarize this conversation, is I think in season 47 we were walking away feeling like JJ was a great solo performer on SNL. Now we're walking away from season 48, eventually we're gonna say that JJ makes everyone around him a better performer, which is a whole other level of being a great SNL cast member. So looking forward to seeing what he's able to do in the future. All right, before we start to wrap up our evening, I'd like to do one more round with all of you to see if there's anything else from the episode you would like to mention that would be important. So Victoria, I'll ask you first. Anything from the episode that you want to make sure we talk about?
Just high level, keep it short and sweet. Just want to give kudos where kudos are due to Molly. I loved seeing their range and costume and characters this episode. And, you know, they just joined, but bright future ahead, and there's just more to come. I love the range. I really want to see more of them. I really also want to see more of Punky. But yeah, that's all. Shout out to Molly.
100%. Huge night for Molly. Very proud of them. Go ahead, TJ.
I'm not finished listening to the most recent By the Numbers, and I haven't listened to a ton this year, but like, is this Punky's strongest year so far?
That would be a Mike question. I'll actually be on By the Numbers this Wednesday with Mike. So let me put a pin in that, and I will come back to you on that. If listeners want to listen to that one, we'll be able to answer that question. So for sure. But hopefully, because I am a fan of Punky.
I'm a fan of Punky too. I have a sketch I wanted to bring up.
Okay, TJ.
Yes. So this is just for the sake of just ego worship. Is that Exorcism sketch? Like, as somebody who is a big fan of What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show and the movie, and while I could care less about monsters, goblins, ghosts, ghouls, vampires, I don't care about any of that. But like, there's something about like lampooning that stuff that's like really fun for me, and What We Do in the Shadows is excellent at that. So having like this sketch gave me the energy of like, not the exact type of thing you would see to What We Do in the Shadows, but the same energy of like having fun with the supernatural and not taking it so seriously because it's kind of dumb. And so there was something so fun about having a woman who's trying to get herself some sleep, trying to exorcise a demon because she's just like tired of the noise that's going on like in the apartment building. And Ego, of course, knocked this performance. The minute she said, "Little girl, your ass better not be levitating back there," and then Jenna Ortega is lowered down. Like, good, like Ego is, we know Ego's a star, but just every week she gives at least one. And I love that Ego could do it with the look in one sentence. I've gone back and rewatched that parent teacher sketch so often. Like, she's fantastic. And granted, I'm not saying anything new to this community. Like I said, all of you listening, you're nerds. We all know these things. We're nerds. But like, as somebody who is, I don't know, the son of a Black mother and has Black aunts, knows what it's like, to see like a Black woman in a house coat, with the silk cap, not ready for no foolishness, come and exorcise a demon. To see like my family come in, this was just so much fun. And I'm willing to bet this is a question for the younger crowd. This might be this would have been a Nicole question, but like, would this be the thing Gen Z clings to? Like, they're clinging to the Pedro Pascal wink thing at the Oscars. Jenna Ortega like flailing herself around like she's like, is that the thing? I don't know. Like, I don't know what the youths are into, but is that funny enough for them? Like, what's the TikTok clip? What goes into the YouTube compilation? Like, what is the thing that they extract here?
I think this will go. This has viral potential for sure. Can I just also say, Victoria, TJ, I know you were on this dating advice podcast that we did about a month ago.
Yeah.
Can I just say that this line from this sketch I thought was a little interesting.
No, ma'am, I don't do all that. I told Salad once, and I was like, this ain't for me.
Where I mean,
that line.
It was as if SNL was like, hey, we can't do anything sexual tonight, so let's just throw in the most graphic sexual joke that we can into one sketch.
You know what's crazy is that Gen Z like renamed like toss. I forgot that eating ass was called.
Okay, well,
tossing salad.
this is not the dating advice podcast, so let's.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's keep it.
I'm so sorry to listeners. I've cursed so much of the episode. I'm just like,
all right.
yeah.
No,
Don't let your kids listen to this one.
Yeah. All right. Bill, did you like the Exorcism sketch?
Just bleep me, Elijah. Just bleep me.
Too late, TJ. Too late.
No, it's not. Go to Audacity. I edit podcasts too. Like,
I mean, this is live, so Bill, please go ahead.
Listen, Ego hasn't had enough to do the last few episodes, but what she's had has been fantastic. 3 episodes in a row. She had the prison guard in the Harrelson episode. She had the Weekend at Bernie's thing last week, and then this. And she is just such a great actress, such a great comedian that she is able to make. This was not a great sketch. I mean, Jenna's basically channeling Lorraine Newman. Like, it wasn't, but she made what she could out of this. I love her saying, use your words when Jenna's mumbling. So yes, this was a showcase for Ego. Loved that part of it for sure. Didn't need the spinning head at the end. I don't know why we can't figure out buttons on SNL, but
yeah.
I'll also say for Keenan, because I did enjoy Keenan's piece about like where they're just so ambivalent about being, inhabited by a demon, and all it takes is her threatening to remove the sex night. like Ego's do you have that line, John?
Yeah, I do. It's
If you don't do it, I'm gonna cancel our sex date next week.
Oh, okay. You found my weak spot.
yeah. Had it queued up for you.
Look, I had fun with those characters. Like the sketch.
I would enjoy seeing the Shaws again. I think the Shaws were a really fun couple.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing them in other places. Talk about like potential recurring characters. I think having the Shaws come into other potential sketches, I think is a fun, creative way to have a recurring character in this era. So I think that could be cute. Victoria, anything you want to say on Exorcism before we go on to anything Bill wants to talk about?
All I want to say is ego supremacy.
Awesome. Totally. Bill, anything else from the episode you want to make sure we touch on?
Yeah, let's talk about the Parent Trap for a second. Loved having Fred back this week. I know you guys talked about it on Saturday a bit about how much he comes back, but I'm welcome to this. I was happy to see him. He was channeling his inner Roger Brush when he was playing this character. You like Schlitz beer?
That was so good.
Wait, is that
you watch Curb?
Is that Curb? Wait, is that the old character he used to do? It was like the bigger guy who would host the show and plays.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I forgot the character's name, but I love that character though.
Yeah, there was also this one, Bill.
Lisa Rinna. I would let her wreck me.
That is very Roger Brush.
Or the whole picture.
Yeah, I got that one too. Here, I'll play that for you.
A whole picture? You're 11.
So good.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a couple like grotesque things in this episode. Not grotesque. There's a couple like
I love the interaction with somebody that we've never seen him work with. Seeing him with Bowen. Even though obviously the main point was him and Jenna working together, having him and Bowen interact was a lot of fun for me. So that's part of the fun of the history of the show.
For sure. This was really great. Honestly, I'm a big Fred Armisen fan. Not everything, he doesn't always, I would say for his longevity on the show, I would say his batting average is probably not as high as some of the other people who lasted as long, but I think this was a win. And this was a good version of Fred Armisen. We got some really fun lines like this one.
So they just split us up? Why would they do that to us? We got to kill them.
That was great. But I'll also say, all credit to the writing on this. So Fred and Colin wrote this one. So that's just a fun pairing to have them back and doing that one. Victoria, anything you like from Parent Trap?
I love that he was like, I don't think bitch was in the script. Yeah, I did a little off the cuff thing like they do on Curb. You guys watch that? Like, no, this child does not watch Curb. It was just silly. It was a silly sketch. And I just thought it was really fun. That's
for sure.
all.
Yeah. TJ, anything or are we good?
I was just I would have almost rather seen that Roger Brush character because it was the exact same character. And I used to love the Parent Trap when I was a kid too. I used to love Lindsay Lohan, but like, I'll be honest, like it kind of, you know what it was? It gave me the same, like seeing Fred this time gave me the same feeling I got when we saw Maya a little too much that one particular season, where it almost started to ruin Maya. So like, I don't know. I think it's maybe because I agree with John that like Fred's, like I watched the first 2 or 3 seasons of Portlandia, and I really liked it, but then at a certain point it just started to like, I started to not get it, I think. And so like there's some of Fred's projects that he picks that like most of the time I'm just not on the same rhythm. I couldn't enjoy his special, but I love his Parks and Rec bit about the Venezuelan guy about like go to jail. Like I love that guy. So Fred for me is
he's also great in Brooklyn Nine-Nine too.
Oh yes, his Melipnos. Yes, he is. He's very good. So Fred is so like it is literally like roll the D20. Like I have no idea what this guy is like, if I'm gonna enjoy this or just be weird. Like he made a stand-up special for drummers, but you know I don't know. So like just kind of for me.
He's awesome, extremely talented. And
extremely talented. I would not. Yeah.
For sure. Not disagreeing with you anyway. I'm saying I was happy to see him. Victoria, go ahead.
When in her monologue she said, "Oh, I really like Californians." I know this is so reaching, like 1 in a million chance it was going to happen, but I was like, wouldn't it be fun if Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig and Fred Armisen and everyone like came back to do a Californians bit, and Jenna Ortega played Bill Hader and Kristen Wiig's like love child or something like that? But
love
again,
child. That'd be a reach. That'd be such a reach. Yeah,
I'm gonna put a call out. I don't think we're ever seeing Californians again on the show. I think it's.
I know.
Like,
I hope not. Like I
think too many things would have to happen to put it together. And I think they did it at the 40th. I don't think they're gonna do it at the 50th. I think they'll find like another thing to do with that era. But Anyways, look, this was fun. It added to the fun of the night for me to have Fred there. So I think it was great. Let's go through our polls from this week. So we had a couple of polls that we put up. One was not which was your favorite episode, but who was your favorite host from this one? So Woody Harrelson, Travis Kelce, or Jenna Ortega. Very briefly, panel, just tell me who your pick would be. So Victoria?
Oh man, probably Jenna Ortega.
Okay. Bill, what do you think?
Woody, of course. No. Jenna.
Yo.
Yeah. Okay, Jenna, and then TJ. Your pick is Jenna also?
You know, I'm good. No, don't us, John.
I'm asking. Yeah.
Do not assume things about me, Jonathan. No, for sure. It's Mikey Day because we need to put some respect on his name. And I've been
no. Just who's your favorite host from these last 3? Not your MVP.
Oh, my favorite host?
Yeah, favorite host from these last 3.
I don't have a favorite host from these last 3 episodes.
Okay. Right. We'll get to MVP in a second. But let me just say, I do believe, despite the fact that Jenna was probably the right host for the right time, and I enjoyed Jenna Ortega on the show in general, I think Travis Kelce had higher highs as a host myself. So I would have picked Travis Kelce here. And I was pretty surprised, to be completely honest with you, how close this was. So let me bring up that poll onto screen right now, which was who was your favorite host of this run? And Jenna Ortega, 49%. Travis Kelce, 42%, Woody Harrelson, 9%. So those were the results from this particular week.
I want to meet that 9%.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Those were a certain percentage of the population. Then we also have we have our MVP right now. So MVP poll is up for week number 15. You can still vote on it if you want. We always take a look at those all week long. But for now, we'll give you the results. And I'm going to go around the panel and ask them for who they think the top 3 MVP vote getters are for this week. Victoria, starting with you.
I mentioned it earlier. I'm going to go with Shrimp Zhazh, but with a special shout out to Molly. We already talked through about why we love Shrimp Zhazh. So
who would be your third if you had to pick a third?
Heidi.
Okay.
She's been stepping up. She's been stepping up.
So JAJ, Molly, and Heidi. Bill, who are your top 3 for this week?
Got to give it to Molly. They had the best week they've had since they joined the show. And then I'll go with JAJ and Mikey.
JAJ and Mikey. And then TJ, you already said Mikey earlier as your number 1 pick. Do you have 2 and 3?
Then we'll go Jenna and Keenan.
Jenna and Keenan. Okay, so this is interesting. So for the first time in 15 weeks on this poll, something interesting happened, and I was hard pressed to believe it. But for the first time this season, the host was not in the top 5.
My guy.
Well, yes, you did pick correctly that Mikey Day won the MVP results, but Jenna not in the top 5 this week for the MVP results, which
That's
I
interesting.
thought that was very interesting because for me, kind of funny. You know, it really felt like this was a cast dominated episode, and I think that the listeners agreed. Mikey Day in first place with 25%, James Austin Johnson second place with 18%, Dismukes in third with 15%, Molly fourth with 13%, and fifth, Ego Wodem with 8%. Jenna was in sixth place for anybody wondering. So interesting poll results. So even like people like Woody got into the top 5 from that week. It was really funny.
John, do you have the audio from the X-Men sketch with Mikey Day saying that they're not ready?
Yes, I have that exact thing.
Because you cannot yet control them, child!
Yes,
that's why Jenna's not in the MVPs. Like that's exactly it.
Yeah. He was like
Enough, child!
Incredible work.
He was unhinged.
Yeah. Great Mikey episode here. Yeah.
We do not put enough respect on Mikey's name. I don't know who said it on this podcast recently, but somebody said that like Mikey Day, or no, someone said that Heidi is good by herself and not pair with anyone. Have they been looking at the Mikey and like Heidi pairings that they've done for years? Like anytime they play a couple or a husband and wife, that like they have incredible chemistry together. And like I think Mikey just gets, and Mikey writes incredible stuff. I don't think we put enough respect on his name. And I think this is not the first time you should be noticing Mikey Day. That's all I'm going to say.
For sure. All right, let's turn our attention to what's coming up on April 1st. I know we're all super excited about it with host Quinta Brunson and musical guest Lil Yachty. And
you're damn right.
Obviously, obviously coming in from Abbott Elementary. This is a big pick by our community as somebody that should have been hosting for a long, long time. So we have so much to say about it, so much to talk about it that we're going to do in just a couple of weeks. But Victoria, let me start with you. What are your expectations for that episode?
I'm speechless.
It is a podcast, by the way.
The audio cut out there a little bit.
No, she is, like I mentioned earlier, she is someone I highly look up to. I would love to follow in her footsteps, but of course in my own way. She's also a Second City gal. She's just so funny. We've known she's so funny. Like she's, from the, what was the sketch called? She's like, oh, he rich, he got money. What was that?
I think it's like He Got Money, like which it's like an old BuzzFeed sketch, I think, from like the mid-2010s.
Yeah.
Oh, he got money. Oh, he got money. Like yeah.
Yeah. And she fully embodied that. Like I love her like turning around and she's awesome. I've adored her for a long time. She's, I think, now at a point where she's getting flowers she deserves and being recognized for her talent. And that being said, I think she's so talented. She's going to be such a great addition to the show. I think, I don't know. I wish she was a castmate at some point, just to be honest. But
well, if you want to get some background on her as a potential sketch performer, go check out A Black Lady sketch show where she was. Yeah, she was a performer during she was a main, I guess, cast member of that show during the first season. So yeah, that's a great example of getting to see her working sketch comedy.
Yeah. And so I'm just really excited. I don't know too much about Lil Yachty. I'm sure he'll do great. But this is a Quinta. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for Quinta to host. I have great expectations for her, and I'm sure she'll go above and beyond.
Yeah, Bill, could this potentially be a quintessential SNL episode?
Oh my God.
Boo.
It's starting already.
Somebody boo this man.
Boo this man.
Quinta is so fantastic to think about having a network sitcom star hosting SNL in 2023 is such a fantastic thing. 5 years from now, we're going to be talking about the fact that she saved the network sitcom genre. So yes, absolutely. Very excited. Very funny. Abbott Elementary. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. There's only about 22 episodes at this point. Burn through it in a day or two. Fantastic.
Yeah, and so interesting that they would pick, nothing against Quinta, but I'm saying they would pick one from ABC instead of from NBC, which is an interesting choice here. Like, didn't pick Bobby when he was on Mr. Mayor, or, Dwayne for Young Rock, who was host in the past, or like even in this most recently, Anna Gasteyer being talked about for American Auto. So it's just it's an interesting choice here, and one that I'm fully supportive of, but something to think about. So TJ, let me give you the floor. Are you excited?
John, am I excited? John, am I excited? John, this is my arc. I have been singing this woman's praises, saying SNL, do it. Put her on the damn show. And you know what? They listen. Now, granted, do I like it that they're having this queen of a black woman host? They're in the middle of the strike thing? No, I do not. SNL needs to get it together and pay these writers. But look, John has already said it. Victoria's already said it. Like Bill's already said it. Abbott is incredible, and it's also so inspiring. Abbott has made me emotional a couple times because there's that great, the jokes are just firing and it punches and it hits, but every now and then it gets you a little bit in the heart. Also, if you watch that Valentine's Day episode and you've been following this show, all I'm saying, just, and the cast is so strong, but Quinta herself, I definitely felt in love with this woman's performing in a Black Lady sketch show a few years ago, John. I'd love that you made that recommendation, because if you want to see Quinta, that is in addition to her and Abbott, that's a phenomenal place to see it. They have amazing sketches, and they sometimes we're the only sketch show going up against SNL at the Emmys. There's the Basic Ball. There's a sketch where this guy has trouble saying "I do," and Quinta's it's just a lot of great stuff. It's and you can probably check out the stuff on YouTube or on HBO Max. That's where you can find the show. But Quinta is killing it. She's already won her Emmys, and they're still giving her flowers. If it wasn't for the fact that it's a TV show, the level of press and everything and rise that she's had is equivalent to the best PR campaign that the best PR campaign that a PR manager could come up for someone that's trying to get an Oscar. They are killing it and giving it to Quinta. People are tripping over to give her praise because her show is that damn funny, that damn strong, coming after shows like Parks and Rec, The Office, Superstore, phenomenal workplace comedies, and she's just adding to that incredible list, and picking her over Anna Gasteyer or another Black woman that I love, Nicole Byer, who's on an NBC sitcom. Granted, Grand Crew's not that strong. Nicole Byer is much better than that show, but it's wonderful to see they didn't have to do it, and the fact that they're supporting ABC shows how strong that show. I mean, I'm going to be on the Hot Take Show, just oh my God, what if I hate the episode? I'm glad you're willing. John, what if I hate the episode? What if it's not good, John?
Well, we're gonna guess what, TJ? We're gonna be there to talk about it. But before we get there, we have so much more coverage happening here on the Saturday Night Network, including 2 more shows this week to talk about Jenna Ortega and the 1975. I'll be on with Mike Murray on Wednesday night to break down all the numbers from this run of SNL. And then Casey Killingsworth, who was in our chat tonight, will be live with me on Thursday night for our patron feedback show, where we will wrap up our thoughts on Jenna Ortega and then look forward to the Quinta Brunson episode. And next Monday, in this spot, we will be back with a very fun SNL stories with the great Daryl Hammond, host of, or announcer now, of Saturday Night Live, and a longtime cast member, 14 years at the show. So we get to talk to Daryl Hammond next Monday night. I hope you'll join us for that conversation, and hopefully for some more fun shows along the way, including a superfan takeover the following week. So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. Victoria, where can the listeners check out everything you got going on?
You can find me on Instagram right here. If you're in the Detroit area, you can catch me performing on some weekends at Go Comedy. You can go to my Instagram to find out when that is. And then after May, you can find me in Chicago at the Second City doing some fun stuff. So more to come.
Amazing job, Victoria, tonight, and so proud of everything you are doing. Bill, Kenney, thanks for joining us as well tonight. Where can listeners check out everything you got going on?
So glad to be here. What a fun, chaotic episode this has been. You can follow me at BKLove73.
Absolutely. TJ, thank you for joining us tonight. Always a pleasure. Where can the listeners check out everything you got going on?
Well, John, also thank you for having me. I always enjoy doing the show, even though I derail it and most likely make you consider, should I put an explicit tag and ruin my podcast because of Apple
Oh, it's
Podcasts?
happening.
I know. Nonetheless, I have a 15-ish minute podcast called Rabbit Trail that is available everywhere. John, Nicole, Sean Grant, Rebecca, the wonderful, fantastic Darren Patterson, has also joined. I've had lots of the SNL network onto the show. Been very glad to do it. Last week we did an episode on ending friendships. I think it's a topic we don't talk about as much because any relationships is so common, but ending friendships is a little tough too. I think it can get a little emotional. And just today, actually, we dropped an episode talking about the perfect sick day. And coming up, we are doing a surprise topic. So I feel like this month, and then I want to say in general, we've had a really strong run of episodes of felt like kind of just really getting into ourselves as hosts, and I'm really happy about that. Now you can find the show anywhere you listen to podcasts, and you can follow it at We Are Rabbit Trail. That's RABID on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can find me, TJ, at King Compliment on Instagram and TikTok.
Incredible. Bill, before we leave tonight, Nick in the chat wants to know if you're going to be sharing your March Madness picks on Twitter. So will you do that for him?
I just may do that for you, Nick.
Okay, amazing. All right, well, for everybody who listened to our show tonight, I hope you will also check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram at the SNL Network to find out everything we got going on over there. We're hopefully going to put up some more fun clips from this show and other stuff over the break. And then you can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify if you have not yet. All right, my name is Jon Schneider from the SNN. And you know what? Why don't we dance our way out tonight? So one last time, let's go.
16,725,550,136.
We'll see you next time, everybody.
Oh,
have a good one.
That's great.